just one of those things. Just one of those summer nights. I don't believe it. Coming next, O.N.J. What an appropriate record. Appropriate for so many reasons, because with me is Olivia Newton-John, and I can't begin to tell you, Olivia, what a pleasure it is to have you here tonight.
Well, thank you.
Because if somebody had told me when I was 15, 14 years old I would one day be interviewing you, I'd have gone blind immediately. And so I've got to get a hold of myself here. But it all started very differently, didn't it? Because you had a very sort of innocent, ingenue, girl next door, Doris Day of Down Under image to begin with, didn't you, in the 60s?
I did, kind of, yes, I did.
Yes.
Went on into the 70s for a while, too.
Yes. So which were you comfortable with that at the time, or was this sort of raunchy prima donna aerobic sex symbol bursting to get out?
No, well, not that I was aware of, I guess. Except when I was making Grease, I called them Sandy 1 and Sandy 2, and I was playing Sandy 1 for a number of months, and the day before we were going to film the first segment of the song where I was Sandy 2, I dressed up in, the leather and had my hair curled and had a cigarette and wandered around the set, and nobody knew who I was.
I remember it.
And I had so much fun. I thought, what have I been doing wrong all these years? That was the start of my liberation.
I thought, who is that? It's not Olivia Newton-John. So those trousers are pretty tight.
Yeah, they were, yes. They were spandex. If I'd known about the popularity of spandex, I would have invested in that company, because that was that material actually was from the 50s, and it was incredible stuff. Held everything in, was perfect.
Held everything in? I'll tell you what, you're speaking now with the authority of somebody who works in the rag trade, aren't you? You're talking
yes.
with great authority because I know you run boutiques now.
Well,
that's part of your line, yeah.
I did. Unfortunately, we closed them down. Victims of the recession and some business problems, and unfortunately, we are no more.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll put a hat round after the interview.
Thank you.
And
Have I got some clothes for you? Very cheap, very nice.
So maybe I can go around the Nearly News and pick some of the stuff up that you used to sell. Well, let's go. Since you were talking about those tight trousers, we might as well have another piece of music, which brings those particularly tight trousers to mind, and the cigarette, and a lot of hairspray, was it?
Lots of hairspray, lots of curlers, but it was my own hair. It was not a wig.
Yeah, well, you've had very nice hair.
Oh, thank you.
Always have.
Thank you.
Did the hair take a long time to do?
Oh, not that I don't remember it taking terribly long, except rollers, always take a bit longer, and a lot of teasing, as they call it. And that was just the hair.
Did John Travolta's take long to do, or did he just sort of...
No, I don't think so. It was a bit of grease and a bit of hairspray for him, too. I got chills.
You're the one that I want, Olivia Newton-John, with the tight trousers and the lovely, beautifully teased curls and the cigarette hanging out of her mouth there, the raunchier side of Olivia. Can we go back to sort of pre-raunch, actually,
yeah, sure.
The 60s? Because you were sort of like the Shadow's little sister at one time, weren't you?
I was.
She crossed her eyes there and made a strange face. Yeah.
Yes, I worked with the Shadows when I was a double act in Bournemouth, I think was the first time.
When I was a double act, you're not talking about
with...
schizophrenia here, are you?
No, my friend Pat Farrow, who consequently did Koala Blue with me, the shops that are no longer, unfortunately. We were a double act for many years, and Bruce Walsh and John Farrow produced my first record, so I was very lucky.
And you were a regular, and I remember this from my youth. You were a regular on It's Cliff Tonight.
That's right.
The television show.
That's right. And I was originally going to just do one show, and luckily we got on well, and I did all of them, and we did duets together and stuff.
It wasn't the tight trousers then, it was the Laura Ashley frocks, wasn't
No,
it?
it was the little floral prints at that stage. I owe Cliff a lot, really, because he helped me an awful lot, and I learned a lot from him, too. He's wonderful.
Can I ask you a very frank question? Did you ever get involved with Cliff?
No, we were just good friends.
I wonder why not, because I know he's no master of raunch himself, but he's a very attractive man.
He is. But I was involved with someone else, and we just never got to be that. It was just friends.
Was that when you were engaged to Bruce Welch?
Right.
Which I suppose all the pressures that were exerted, and your career was on the move, and his career was on the move in a sort of different direction. Was that one of the reasons you split up from Bruce Welch?
Yes, I guess so. A lot of reasons. I was very young, mainly, I think.
And you were going in a sort of American direction.
Yeah, I was. I moved. When did I move? A couple of years after that, I think.
I suppose things must have been very exciting because they were moving very fast, and it's difficult to remember the precise details of things. But did you feel in your bones that you were a country and western singer? Because that's the next direction you took, wasn't it?
I know, it was interesting, really, because I was recording songs, and Peter Gormley, who was my manager and who managed Cliff, was, selecting the songs along with Bruce and John Farrar. They were giving me these songs that had this country feel, but I really wasn't aware that they were country songs, compared to any other kind of song, until I had a hit record in America and it was in the country chart.
Which one was that?
That was my first one, was Let Me Be There. I was labelled over there as a country singer. Here it was just, pop music. Wherever you go,
Of course, when you got the award in 74, 75 from the Country Music Association as the best country vocal of the year, I think it was that record there.
Yes.
There were various howls of protest from the diehards, weren't there?
Yeah, they weren't too thrilled.
Why was that? Why were those diehard country and western fans? Was it because you were British?
Well, I think it was because, the song was written by John Rustall from The Shadows. He was English. Bruce and John produced it. They're Australian English. It was made in England. I was an Aussie. They were very confused, and I think they kind of felt that Nashville owned country and it was territorial rights, really. And Loretta Lynn stood up for me and thought I was okay. And after that, it was all right after that. I kind of crossed over, and it gave them an opportunity. Some of the country artists crossed over too, so kind of eased the tension a little between the two.
So it's really just a little bit of jingoism.
Yeah, I guess so. Nobody told me about it. I was touring in a bus at the time, in a terrible old tacky Greyhound bus with touch the seat and dust hit the ceiling. It was really bad. And no one told me that this controversy was going on until well after it happened.
Well, that's because you're
probably good.
Well, that's because you're a star, you see. And they protect stars, don't they? They don't tell you anything
Yes.
bad. And you were a superstar at the time, and you were on the make. You were.
Not really. I was working towards.
Yeah, but you were going places. They didn't upset you, so how is everything's fine, Olivia?
Everything's
fine.
They hate you out there.
They love you.
Don't worry.
So we
Those
heard that-
tomatoes don't mean anything.
Let's hear a little compendium, the two country tracks you did here, which are both on the new compilation album that you're doing.
You have on this album my very, very first hit record, which is If Not For You, which is the old Bob Dylan song. If not for you, if not for you.
It's not really a country song, is it?
Not really, but it's...
Banks of the Ohio.
Thanks to the Ohio,
Yes.
as I sang it,
Yeah.
was recorded by one of my, at the time, John Bayers was like my idol when I started singing. So we covered that.
Whenever I hear this song, we hear a little snatch of it now, I can't help but do the bass line.
Yeah, that was Mike Sam's.
Mike Sam's.
Mike Sam singers, and everywhere I go in the world, people ask me who that is. So I just want him to know that he's world famous from this.
He is. Remember that Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel record, Judy Teen? Judy Teen, dun, dun, dun. Oh, it was a big hit in the 70s. A really good culty record.
Right.
Because I had Steve Harley on the show the other night, and he came at the end of the record and he said, "Do you know who that was singing in the background?" I said, "He said Mike Sam's."
Oh, really?
So Mike Sam's
done a lot of
he was a
that.
hit rock and roller.
Also.
All right, here's Mike Sam's with Olivia Newton-John on backing vocals here. The Banks of the Ohio. Banks of the Ohio, one of the records that started the American success story for my guest tonight, Olivia Newton-John, who is with me, minus on this occasion, what were the trousers you were talking about?
Very tight black ones.
The very tight black. You don't still have them, do you?
I don't. They took them back to wardrobe. I never saw them again.
No.
I was hoping I could keep them, but no.
One of those rock and roll memorabilia sales, they would fetch a lot.
I know that, yeah. Well, I don't know what happened to them.
I know, I'm trying them on myself. Anyway, that's another matter.
That's another program.
That's between me and my analyst. I think. The Eurovision Song Contest, you didn't do it although probably because you're an Australian, that's why you didn't win Eurovision Song Contest.
No, I didn't win because I don't think the song was very good, to be honest. I didn't like the song. But I'm sorry to the writers. I know that the public chose the song and they liked it, but I didn't like the song.
But it's always the
But
case.
ABBA was on, ABBA were great. You couldn't beat ABBA.
At Waterloo, but it's always the case, isn't it? The public always choose the wrong song for the Eurovision Song Contest.
I think so.
I think they did it this year with Michael Ball because there was a ballad that was second and there was a phone-in vote, and the ballad would have walked it. Because
Yeah.
Continentals, I'm sounding like Alf Garnett. Continentals, they like.
They love a ballad.
They love it. They love all these French who go up and they give it to them.
Exactly.
And I always go for the sort of Bucks Fizz thing. Just remind everyone, the one you did was Long Live Love.
Yes.
Not a great song.
No, I really wasn't happy. I wanted the ballad to win because we did. I don't know if they still do the same thing. You sing for 6 weeks and people phone in.
Well, they've just reverted to that.
Oh, right.
Back to that particular format. And
But what happens if you don't see all 6 shows and you?
I don't know how
take
they.
a guess or something?
I've sort of lost interest in the qualifying stages.
Yeah.
I just watch it on the night.
I think maybe the judges or some record producers should choose the selection or something. I don't know.
It's controversial stuff. I mean, I tell you. So on the night, do you have any memories of it? Was sort of backstage quaffing champagne with ABBA?
No, I didn't really get to talk to them very much. We became friends after that. In fact, they did a show I did in America about a year later. But no, I just remember being extremely nervous.
It was live,
It was
wasn't
live,
it? You actually,
yeah.
well, it still is. You actually go on and sang live. Did you
Really?
give a good performance for the UK?
I don't think terribly. I don't think it was great. I had a little blue butterfly dress on, that's about all I remember, which I found a few weeks ago. My friend Pat was cleaning out her garage and she found a box of, I don't know why, but a whole bunch of my old stage clothes, like platform heels and hipster pants with bell bottoms, and my blue butterfly dress to the
Brilliant.
Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, listen, you should keep all that stuff.
I
Because there's
know.
bound to be a fancy dress party
Oh,
that
I
you
know.
could go along to. So NAF 70s night or something like that. You can go along to that, because probably have those nights in
I
Malibu.
could. I'd probably win.
So it was sort of 6 points from the Yugoslavian jury, but another 2 points for the blue butterfly dress.
Something like that.
Wonderful. Well,
I don't even know where I came, but it wasn't good.
just to remind people, I'm going to play some marvellous music by you tonight, but just to remind people
Oh, no.
of that, can I just
You are going to play it. Just
a little bit,
all
a
right.
little bit, just to remind
A
ourselves
little
how
bit of a little more love.
Alice didn't win, don't know.
All the kids like 10 soldiers in a...
My guest tonight is Olivia Newton-John. I played something there to mildly embarrass you. That was the one that didn't do it for Britain, the year that Waterloo by ABBA did. You mentioned A Little More Love. A Little More Love is a song I really like of yours, and it's on the new compilation. It's got a certain register of your voice, which used to send me into paroxysms, and indeed still does. Still does.
Thank you.
That sort of breathy high register, which you evince on Xanadu as well. You know, the middle
All right,
of it.
yes, yes. A falsetto kind of
Is that what it's
thing.
called, is it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. That's, is that something you've always had in your voice, or did you work on it with voice training to
No,
develop?
actually, I didn't have any voice training at all. When I was about 14 and I was in Australia and I was going to take up singing professionally, much to my mother's chagrin, she wanted me to learn professionally. So she took me to an opera singer trainer who I had one lesson with, and when I left I said to my mum, you know, Mum, I really don't want to do this because he wants to change the way I sing. So I never had another lesson until about 3 years ago when I was recording a lullaby album, and I hadn't sung for so long that I was having problems with my voice, and I went to a teacher, and actually it was good. I realised I should have gone before because I learned some techniques that just help you. They don't change you, but they help you.
Oh, sort of projection and stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, ways of getting high notes out without killing your throat and stuff.
Yeah, well, there's lovely high notes, actually. Xanadu is a good case in point. Not a very good film, though, was it?
It wasn't, but I got to dance with Gene Kelly, so it was worth it. And the music was great. I thought the music, they do one, I don't know if you remember it, but they did a segment where they mixed the 40s and 80s music together.
Yeah.
John Farrow wrote. It was very clever.
Yeah, the music was very successful
Yeah,
from it,
the music was great.
with Suddenly and Xanadu. Did you know at the time it was a turkey of a film?
I kind of got a clue when I found out the director hated music. And he was writing it. And he was going through a divorce at the time. Didn't like music, and the script was being written every day. We got our pages in the morning. So it was kind of, it looked like it may not happen.
You smelt a turkey.
I did rather. I cooked one too.
Oh, that high register. Olivia Newton-John with ELO. One of the good aspects that came out of the film Xanadu was the music. There's the title track from Olivia Newton-John with me tonight. Going further back, if you'd just allow me to sort of hop around chronologically here. You were involved in something with Don Kirshner, who created the Monkees. He created this sort of putative supergroup, I suppose science fiction quartet, was it? Called Tomorrow, that you were involved with,
Yes.
which
no,
didn't quite take off. This is before your absolute enormous success, of course.
Yes.
It was at the turn of the decade, just into the 70s. What went wrong there, then?
This was a very interesting experience because I met Don Kirshner. He came into Peter Gormley's office, and I was in there one day, and they were putting together this group. So he told Peter, I guess, that I should meet Harry Saltzman. And Harry Saltzman had done all the Bond films, and they were going to make, like the Monkees did a television series, they were going to do a series of films and put the supergroup together. And there were 3 guys and myself, an all-American kind of country, good-looking guy, a black Philly cool guy from Philadelphia, and a Tommy Steele guy, Vic Cooper, who I think is still in London. Hi Vic, if you're listening, how are you? I haven't seen him for years. And anyway, they put us together and put us in a studio with Phil Ramone, who's a great writer, and with Jeff Barry, who later wrote Honestly Love You. The kind of things they would do was to meet Zeffirelli, who made me direct the movie, that he broke his leg the week before, and it was very bad luck for him. He didn't get to do this film. And then they would fly us to America. I remember going to New York and getting there, and the record company said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I don't know. I was given a ticket, told to come." They said, "Oh, we don't need you until next week." And they sent us, me and my sister, who was my chaperone, to Florida for a holiday for a week. So they spent untold money, made a film, and it totally died. It was
Was
actually,
it
it's
good? Was it
very
as good as
funny.
Xanadu?
sit-ins, because it was 70s, of course, so we're having sit-ins. And this guy from another planet
Sounds good.
heard our music. We had a band that we played at school.
Sounds great.
And we were going to save the planet with our music. That was the only vibe that was going to save their planet. So they zapped us up into their spaceship.
Yeah.
So we had to do all these special effect things. And we were going to save the planet with our music. Well,
But you didn't, did you?
the planet lost it. No, I don't even remember the ending now. They brought us back to Earth. It was terrible. It's actually funny. I think now it would make one of those kind of funny cult.
Yes, it's gone through the NAF barrier.
Yeah.
At the speed of light.
Exactly.
Well, just to embarrass you even more, we've actually got a little clip of music from tomorrow.
You too. And which track do we have here? I want to go back to this week, back through time, back through space, going back.
Olivia Newton-John, my special guest tonight. Play something good in a minute.
Oh,
That's
thanks so much.
embarrassment time.
You're so kind.
But no, the one I'm going to play next is Sam. Because
Oh, I love Sam.
I remember, it's a good song, isn't it? You wrote that?
I'm John Farrar, and I think Hank Marvin and he wrote that together, if I remember correctly.
I remember all my female friends at the time when I was about 16, 15 when it was out. They all loved that song. All the girls loved that song because you put all that sort of female emotion into it, longing and wistful romance, and it was a good vocal performance.
Thank you.
But what's the line in it? I know that you're on your own now.
So am I. I'm living alone now.
Oh.
I was wrong, so are you.
Oh,
What will you do?
Oh.
Are you glad to be free? Are you feeling lost just like me, longing for company? I'm sure everyone related to that song, I think. It was a good lyric. I heard that you're on your own.
all Sams wherever you are. We'll have a tear in your eye to that one.
John Farrar named his son Sam too, a few years later.
After the song?
Yeah, after the song.
Did he name his daughter Xanadu? So,
Grease, actually.
so Grease is a good film.
Yeah, it's
That still looks good on television.
Yeah,
all
it
the
does.
kids now still like it.
I know. It's like a whole other generations, like the second or third generation who are getting to see it now.
And you were pretty old for a school kid at the time, weren't you?
I was.
You can.
I was.
How old were you?
I was in my 30s, and John was
You get
in his
failing-
late 20s.
failing sixth grade,
Yeah,
couldn't
I know, all the time. Actually, it was great. We all were. I mean, we were all way past high school, which made it balance out okay. And I'd never been to a school like that. We didn't wear uniform and everything, so it was really like a school atmosphere. It was great. We had a great time.
I was engaging in tittle-tattle with my producer who's met you before, Paul Woods, because he's been around the music business for more years than you have. And he was telling me that, just ask her about Alan Osmond. She once went out with Alan Osmond.
I think we had a McDonald's at Disneyland. It was about the biggest date I had with Alan.
Did he ask
He's
you?
a really nice man.
Yeah, he comes across that way.
Yeah, he's very sweet. I can't remember now. You know, it's a long time ago. It's got to be 12, 13 years ago. But
The eyes conveniently glazed over.
he got married about a month later, so I
So it wasn't that
I had a
successful a
devastating effect on him of some kind. But he's very sweet. The whole family are nice.
Did you get on? I suppose at the time they were on a real crest of a wave, weren't they? The Osmonds.
Osmonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that? I mean, I wouldn't. Did that sort of religious thing get in the way of having McDonald's? Was there a hole in the tablecloth, or something like that?
No, they're very strict Mormons, though. The whole family are.
Yeah. And there's a new generation of them now, isn't there? New generation of
Yeah,
them.
Donnie's actually had a great record. Did you hear his new record? I think he put it out under another name because his association with his name was synonymous with his music. But he's really good.
Yeah, I still find it difficult. I'm still upset about his voice breaking. I still find that. But I thought Puppy Love was a sweet record, actually. I still like hearing that, but I'm keep quiet about it. I think it's a really good song. On the downside of things, of course, you've had a very successful...
I'm waiting for this
as
one.
if a hamburger, as if a hamburger
You
was...
give me all the ups now. I need to think what the downs are. Okay, yes.
No, seriously, this is a serious point because it's happened to a lot of people. I read about it with Diana Rigg the other day. You were haunted and hunted by an absolute crank for a long time.
Oh, a number of them.
A number of them.
Yeah, I seem to have these men that want to save me. Well, I guess that little girl next door image haunted me too long, and it's got better lately. Since I got married, it got a little better, but there are still some people out there who are still looking at the old movies. But it's not a subject I like to dwell on because I think talking about negative things brings it on. But I had a few occasions where I left the country at one point because there was one guy after me, and there's a bunch of profiles, as we call them, that are, you know,
Profiles, what's
crazy.
that?
They're people that could be considered dangerous, that my security people keep tabs on. In America, I think they take it a lot more seriously than here. I think it's probably better not to know about it.
I think you're probably right. I mean, taking it seriously almost gives
makes it more
of a danger.
Yeah, it does, exactly.
Yeah. But they've not done anything really bad. I mean, is it just writing or phoning or constantly...
All those things, and turning up at the house and breaking into my house and things like that.
Minor
but not for a long time, actually. It's been good.
Yeah, one of the other downsides of being so successful is not having that steadiness of relationships. I mean, as the career goes up and down, as it does in this business, I suppose relationships with people become difficult sometimes. More difficult to sustain during the lows. Have you found that a struggle?
Well, not lately. Since I got married, I've been married for 7 years and we've been together for 12, nearly 13. And it's been great, actually. Before that, I mean, I think I was just too young. I think that relationships maybe, I don't know if they would have worked, if it had anything to do with my career or not, really. It may have just been to do with personality and age and time and such. But it can cause problems if you're with the wrong person who doesn't understand it, you know.
Doesn't understand what?
What careers are like and what, you know, the ups and downs are of it. And I don't think it's affected my personal life that much, that part of it.
Do you have a drive and an ambition that has excluded relationships? And as it does in this business, I suppose relationships with people become difficult sometimes. More difficult to sustain during the lows. Have you found that a struggle?
Well, not lately. Since I got married, I've been married for 7 years and we've been together for 12, nearly 13. And it's been great, actually. Before that, I mean, I think I was just too young. I think that relationships, I don't know if they would have worked, if it had anything to do with my career or not, really. It may have just been to do with personality and age and time and such. But it can cause problems if you're with the wrong person who doesn't understand it, you know.
Doesn't understand what?
What careers are like and what, you know, the ups and downs are of it. And I don't think it's affected my personal life that much, that part of it.
Do you have a drive and an ambition that has excluded relationships and has made you sort of single-minded person?
No, I don't think so.
Have you always had time for your partners?
I think I have. It's hard to think about that right now because it's so long ago before I was married. It's like I've been married forever now.
That's one of the good things that came out of Xanadu, wasn't it?
Yes, that's where I met Matt. So, and he really understands the business because he's in it and has always been happy for my success and doesn't compete with me and doesn't try to and is very supportive. So it's not a problem.
Do you think previous partners have competed with you?
I don't really want to talk about them. It's not fair because they're still my friends and I don't want to, you know. I think it's difficult to be married to someone who's successful anyway, especially in the public eye. And for some people it's harder than others.
And you're 6 years older than...
10.
10 years older than Matt.
You're so kind, aren't you?
Yeah. But you only look about 30.
Oh, yes, so nice. He's caught up to me now.
Yeah.
He started out 10 years, now he's 6.
Are you hopelessly devoted to him then?
Yeah.
That's a cue for a song there, isn't it?
No, it certainly is. What a guy. It's not the first.
Olivia Newton-John with me tonight, and some wonderful music that I'm playing you from Olivia Newton-John. What's it called? The Collection or the Greatest
I
Hits?
think it's called Back to Basics, which I feel I'm doing with this album, going back to what I know best.
Which is what?
Singing, I think.
Not wearing blue butterfly dresses, anyway.
No, that's for sure.
Well, you've got some good new songs on it as well.
I do.
And there's a lovely one penned by the great Giorgio Moroder, which I believe is to be the new single.
Well, he produced it. It was written by Stevie Kipner, who
right.
wrote Physical for me, or Stevie co-produced it. And
aerobic sex. Physical.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, sorry.
I kind of see this
distracted me
song. I had finished the album, and then Stevie Kipner came over for a barbecue, and he played the song to my husband, who said to me, "You have to record this song. I've just heard this song Stevie wrote, and you have to do it. It's a hit." And I said, "But I finished. You know, this is it." He said, "You have to hear it." So Stevie played it to me. He'd half written it, and I knew from the chorus that it was a hit song. So I sent it to the record company and said, "I think this is a hit song. I think it's a really strong message this song has. So you decide." So they called me 2 weeks later and said, "Yes, we think you should do it." And they brought Giorgio Moroder over to produce it. Well, I kind of felt that Physical was very much an 80s song. It was kind of irresponsible sex. It was like, I like you and you like me and let's get together. This is, I like you and you like me, but let's take it easy and get to know each other. And, you know, which I think is more responsible and more in keeping with
the times. Yeah, I think so. You didn't think about that at the time, though, with Physical,
No,
did you? You just thought, let's get to know each other.
I just thought it was a great song.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
But I was very nervous about Physical because it was another step further for me. It was a little more risque than I'd been up to that point, but I knew it was a hit song.
And then by 85, of course, you were posing half topless with riding crops, weren't you?
Yes, you're right.
That was another
I
step.
can't believe I did that.
Why did you do that then?
Because Helmut Newton has a way of making you do things that you don't think you'll ever do. And I wasn't actually topless. I had something
Half
on the
topless.
front. It looked like I was. I was
Yeah.
backless anyway.
Mm.
But for me,
What's the symbolism of the riding crop?
I don't know, because I had riding boots and joppers on, I guess, I always go that way in Hyde Park. Haven't you seen me? He's amazing. Helmut Newton was a friend of my father's in Australia because his wife is Australian and he lived in Australia. And he actually discovered my sister, who was a model. And so I'd known him for a long time. And he has this kind of very dramatic way of suggesting you do things, like you will do this. And I can't believe I did that. I look at that album and it doesn't seem like me at all.
Oh, you look well in it.
Oh, yeah, but it's very strange.
Yeah. Anyway, away from riding crops to this song. What's it called?
Which one are we listening to?
Not the one about the riding crop, the one about Georgie Moroder one.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's called I Need Love.
All right, here it is. Me tonight, playing some stuff from the Back to Basics album, which is the new compilation with 4 new songs on it as well. What about life in California then? It's nice coming back here, I suppose, but you well settled in Malibu?
Yeah, I like it. It's very nice. Nice place to live. Nice weather and right by the ocean. It's lovely.
I've been reading some appalling things about that sort of show business life over there. All the sort of insincerity and cocaine and the drugs and all that sort of thing.
Darling, do you think so?
Olivia!
I don't think it's any more insincere there than anywhere else.
No?
No. I think there's insincerity everywhere in every kind of business, and you just have to sort out the right people, the nice people.
But it's tough. You've got to be successful there, haven't you? I mean, you did a record with Andy Gibb, didn't you? And he sadly died with drugs involved. Did you know that he was afflicted at the time with that sort of problem?
Yeah, I learned, there was a stage where I spoke to him a lot and he wasn't doing very well, but I actually thought that he was recovering, and he was. I think his body just couldn't take the abuse that had suffered in the past. But, he had a lot of success very quickly, and he was a very sensitive young man. I just think it was too much.
Just to skip back to the record suddenly with Cliff Richard's a record I've always liked. It's going back to Xanadu, and it's, of course, was one that renewed your relationship with Uncle Cliff.
Yeah. That song, John Farrow wrote that for the movie, and Cliff was just the perfect choice because our voices blend so well, and it's such a great song, and it was wonderful to do that with him.
I'm going through my notes during the record. You're accusing me of looking for more dirt.
No, I'm kidding.
There's no dirt in your life.
Not at all.
You're still as squeaky clean as the day that you set foot on stage. In fact, why didn't you I think your career would have taken a whole different direction if, she looks expectantly,
yes,
if you had accepted the part of Cinderella in the 1966 Cliff Richard and the Shadows London Palladium pantomime.
Really? How'd you know I was even asked? I can't remember that.
It's another thing you can't remember. Because I've been doing my research.
I wonder what would happen.
Maybe you weren't. You couldn't have been offered any other part. Certainly wasn't the Ugly Sister.
It might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, and you turned that one down.
Why did I? I don't know why I did.
Imagine
now
turning down the chance of appearing on stage. You could have a whole different.
I know.
Well,
I've been offered Broadway and things since then, but I don't think I'm ready for that yet because it's a major commitment of time. I mean, you have to be there every day, and your matinees and all that kind of thing. I told if there was an incredible musical, and the original music, then I think I could be tempted to do it.
What about films? Has your film career faltered, or is it going to take off again?
I would like to do more. I would. It's really funny, the right vehicle. They're talking to John and I about doing Grease 3, but it really depends. It's a funny concept, I know. But how will be 50 looking like 30 now.
No, you look good, but could you cut it as an 18-year-old?
Well, we'd have to. No. We'd have to be fast forwarded quite a few years by now. But it's a funny concept. It would have to be a really great story because I think sometimes you can ruin the memory of something by a bad sequel. But if they come up with a really great story, we'd be interested. So we're going to see what they come up with.
John Travolta himself has had an interesting film career, hasn't he? He's always he's done quite well recently.
Yeah, Look Who's Talking.
Look Who's Talking. Before that, he was kind of struggling for the right role, and it's difficult, isn't it? I mean,
he's really a talented actor. I think he hasn't even had a chance to show what he can do yet.
Was he a real pro to work with, or was he a bundle of trouble?
No, he was a pro. He was fun. He was really funny. He's very, very funny, and I wish that he could do. I keep telling him he should do a movie where he can be different characters because he's really hysterical.
Is he?
Yeah, and he plays lots of different. He does lots of voices and walks, and he's a great mimic. And
that dance, was it one of the videos? Was it one that you wanted? Does some funny movements in it?
Yeah, he's a good dancer too, but he's extremely funny. So anyway, we'll see what happens. He just became a dad about a month ago, so I'm excited for him.
And that's being a mum for you has changed your life, has it?
Yeah, totally.
It's Chloe, is it?
Chloe.
Yeah. And how did it change your life?
Well, I think you suddenly have a realization that you're not immortal, and
You didn't think you were immortal?
Oh, no. Yeah, well, I think you don't. I didn't really think about, my dying at that point. I think
No?
not a lot.
You thought you were immortal, did
Yes, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Until you maybe hit your 30s anyway. Mostly she gave me perspective and mostly the feeling of overwhelming responsibility to her and to her future and that I needed to do something to protect it all. That's really how I got involved in all the environmental issues.
I know,
I
and
feel that.
From way back years ago, you were involved with dolphins, those beautiful creatures that are so threatened, and you cancelled a concert in Japan because of
Right.
the way that they slaughter dolphins.
Right.
And your environmental issues are something that is very, very high on your list of priorities now.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I was more involved with animal issues until I had my daughter. I mean, I used to think, I know this sounds really stupid, but I was such an animal lover and I had a bunch of dogs and cats and horses and I couldn't imagine loving anything more than my animals. And I used to say to my friend Pat, what if I don't like this baby as much as my dog? What am I going to do? She says, don't worry, trust me. So I was really concerned about this. But the minute I came home from the hospital with that little baby, my dog came to the car and I said, get down, and there was a dog. It suddenly was a dog. It was amazing, the transformation that,
And
she
you
was
love the
like
baby
this.
so much, you let the baby sleep in the kennel.
That's right,
Yeah.
chained her up every night. But no, she's just made me much more aware, and I think there's a whole part of life that you're missing out on until you have children that I wasn't even aware of.
It's been very nice speaking to you tonight, Olivia.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks for coming in and sharing some of these memories.
You're welcome.
Difficult ones that you couldn't even remember at times. ones that you didn't care to remember.
Well, I had fun. I'll probably leave here and remember all these things and wish I'd remembered to tell you about them now.
You'd probably be glad you didn't tell me a few of them as well. A Little More Love, the song I've always been fond of. I'm going to play that, and also one of the new ones as well to go with it. Which would you like? Deeper Than a River, I Want to Be Wanted, or Never Gonna Be the One?
I think I Want to Be Wanted because I think it's a lovely song.
It's a good song, that.
Yeah.
So, A Little More Love, I Want to Be Wanted, and Olivia Newton-John, we meet.
It was fun.
For Olivia meeting me, I think I've been someone she's been fantasizing about for years and years, ever since she was an adolescent, but she handled it remarkably well. Olivia Newton-John, I Want to Be Wanted, the collection Back to Basics, is out next week. Hope you enjoyed it all. Thanks for all the calls. It's 11:31 right now into the night. Bob Harris back later.